Hey there, and welcome to the ECM podcast. I'm Friedrich Kunzmann, and I'm happy to be hosting this newest episode of the podcast and take you behind the scenes of new music on ECM Records. Today I'm joined by the Israeli saxophonist and composer Yuval Cohen, whose ECM debut album, Winter Poems, features his new quartet with Tom Oren on piano, Alon Near on bass, and drummer Alon Benjamini. Yuval talks about his inspirations from classical music, about how a single word or a melody can fix a broken heart, and much more. Yuval, thank you so much for joining me in the podcast. It's great to have you.
Hi Fritz, it's lovely to be here with you.
In a way, you're following in the footsteps of your brother Avishai, who's been with ECM now for just about a decade. Should we expect an Abel and Cain kind of situation? Is someone about to be slain?
God forbid, no. It's actually the total contrary. Avishai, so beautifully and generously, he's actually the matchmaker. He, a few years ago, he heard all kind of excerpts of my work back then, and he's actually the one who said so amazingly, wow, this music is so great, it fits the label. I mean, and he actually is the matchmaker. He contacted the label, and that's how the romance started to get
unfold and unfurl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nice.
Amazing.
This new quartet of yours is one of several ensembles that you regularly lead. You also have a chamber jazz quartet, a sextet, and more. So how does this group fit into the picture for you? Is it your jazz group, or is genre not a distinction with which you draw a line?
You know, it all started about 15 years ago when I really found this strong connection between my deep love to jazz music, which I've been growing into this tradition since I'm a child, but also to the classical tradition that I really was educated and inspired with. And then I put together a first quintet that added a cello. I put a cello in it, and I started to have like materials that had a different sound. And then after my dad passed away 10 years ago, I decided to write a suite after in his honor, and for the suite I added also a trombone, and it became a whole concept of I called it chamber jazz, and then and you're right, I have this sextet and quintet and quartet that are really chamber-like, but then I think that this just continued into my regular music. This music that has, I would say, it has a strong melodic emphasis. To me, it all starts with melody,
which is a concept that really takes you on a trip on a tune like "Song for Loam," I find.
Right.
Which is a wonderful and somehow heartbreaking blues waltz.
It is,
even though the idiomatic reach, on the album is really broad, it still stands out. Can you talk about that tune's background?
Yeah, it's amazing that you say that it is kind of a heartbreaking tune, because when you translate it to English, it's Song for Lo Am, but Lo Am is kind of a Hebrew twist. Am is a people, a nationality, a people, and Lo Am is no people. And I wrote this a few years ago. The Israeli society has been going through really hardness and kind of divided to ideas, and it's been manipulated by bad leaders, and it's been a tough era. And this song actually mourns that. It's a sad song about a people that is not losing the path of being a people, and these specific people should be very good, and how easy it's to lose the path. So if that went to your heart, that's exactly what
It definitely did, but at the same time, that's kind of a paradox, isn't it? Because I find it beautiful, but the background kind of is more shadowy than.
I think it doesn't contradict. I think maybe maybe art has this ability to bring, beauty, and try to, with the beauty, cure, in a way, things that are really not beautiful, really painful. I mean, it just needs something.
Oh, absolutely. And historically, that's what art has kind of achieved over and over again, is to turn that into something that you wanna hear, listen to, look at over and over again.
You know what?
And feel.
A broken heart only needs you can fix a broken heart with a word. You don't need a surgery cardiologist. A broken heart only needs a word or a beautiful note, or a beautiful painting, or just a beautiful hand that touches your shoulder and tells you, "Oi, let's let's work it out together." So that's it. I'm trying a lot to do this in this time. I mean, my country needs that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Back to your quartet, or back to what you said earlier, that everything starts with the melody. I assume that's your approach compositionally. You don't outline harmonies before you fill in the melody. You start with the melody. Can you kind of describe your approach along a couple of the tracks of the record?
Yeah, I think you're right. Usually I start with the melody. We musicians, since we all the time we mess or we play with these materials, so it could happen that I sit next to the piano and I go, something starts, and then you say, oh, so maybe sometimes the trigger can be a harmonic progression, but usually it's melody. I studied a few years ago. I studied my master's in composition with amazing professor, amazing composer, classical composer. His name is Tzvi Avni, actually originally from Saarbrücken.
All right.
And he's 96 years old, I think, today. He's an incredible person. And I remember when he you listen to modern symphonies and stuff that he writes, and when he tells you that he begins with the melody, it was such an also inspiring moment to see. Yeah, man, melody. That's what when the Homo sapiens in the caves, when they were starting music, I mean, they didn't check out chords.
Yeah.
They were just they were probably mumbling melodies. So that's the beginning of music. That's the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, you also, of course, are a soprano saxophonist, so it kind of comes with the territory. I was wondering, throughout the album, there's a flute-like quality to some of your upper register soprano saxophone playing, and it really underlines some of the music that leans more towards a folkloric sound. Was it always your instrument of choice? Is that what you started with and have stuck with since?
It's a good question. First of all, thank you very much about what you say. I've been practicing this soprano saxophone for the last 30 years daily. Not even this. It's a hard instrument. I mean, it doesn't let you fool around. You cannot ignore it. But I was actually starting off as an alto player, and I could double on tenor and clarinet and flute and soprano. I was doing actually pretty well until I had a major surgery back in 1997, and this surgery kind of forced me, for many reasons, to specifically play the soprano, and not any other instrument. So it started off as a restraint. I mean, I had to do that. It was either playing soprano or not playing anything. But luckily, I was before that I was already digging into the soprano and really trying to get a lot of classical things for inspiration. That's my inspiration, like playing stuff for oboe and violin and clarinet. That was my challenges as a youngster, when I was around 18 years old, and that's why I keep hold into this tradition of this clean sound and intonation, and that these qualities. I mean, to my belief, you are part of the soprano saxophone playing, and if you don't have them, it might be risky.
Let's talk about the band on your record. Tom Oren is obviously virtuoso on piano, and we have Alon Near on bass, and on drums, Alon Benjamini. Who are these guys, and how did you get together with them originally? And how long have you been doing it for, by the way?
So I know these three musicians for about 15 years now, and I met them all when I was their improvisation teacher at the Thelma Yellin High School in Givatayim, which is near Tel Aviv. And you know, I'm very fortunate to do a lot of music education in Israel, and throughout the years, I mean, in every class there's always, I mean, it's not a matter of better or not better, but you can see sometime the spark of a person that has this drive in him or in her, you know, to go forward and to search inside and outside for the music, and they were not in the same class, but during COVID, actually, I mean, they were my students, and then they went abroad, but COVID brought many people back to Israel because the world stopped. And when they came to Israel, we did a lot of playing together. So we've been playing for a long time, and for the record itself, we really got to my place for a week. We played every day a lot, and just made it more clear what we wanted to do. And these are three incredible young musicians, which I dearly love. They're wonderful human beings. We had a lovely time traveling to France to record, and I'm really looking forward for the future adventures with them, because they're really wonderful collaboration of great musicians and artists, although they're only 30, and wonderful friends.
And you were talking about how you've obviously played a lot together, and especially before the session, a concentrated week of practicing and working out the material. Did you the compositional part, or even just the way you arranged the tracks at the end, is that something that you worked out with them in detail? Is that something where they had their own say? Is it a very democratic process, or is it more something that you have a very specific idea about in advance?
Very democratic process. To me, my role is as a composer ends when the ink is dry, and then the band gets together, and the pianist will usually find the most appropriate voicing, and the bass and the drums. It's something for the band to explore together, and it's and also while arranging, sometime, you know, the guys say, okay, maybe we can have this counter line here or there. Sometime I write it, and sometime they come up with it, and it's a great process together. When people are mature and they have so many great ideas, it's just great to let them deliver that.
I want to get to some more of the tracks and talk about them specifically, but before we do, the title of the album is Winter Poems. What can you tell me about that? Why winter poems, and where did that come from?
First of all, it comes from one of the tracks, which is entitled "Winter Poem," and what we used to do is to play from Schubert, Wintereis, winter songs cycle. It's the first one, so the Good Nacht, I think, or Good Night.
Yeah.
That's the opening song, which is so beautiful. And we used to play it, usually the beginning of it, and then connect it to my winter poem. And then it became like, we got the vibe from Schubert, from this night walk in the snow, in the forest. There's something very dramatic, very European. And then the rest of the music kept this quality. And it was... then together with ECM, it was the idea to call it winter poems.
I checked. We talked about that last time that we had a quick chat, and you told me about this Winterreise beginning, and it's true that even the tonality still remains the same at the start of it, and you could hear, you change the melody, you have a completely different melody.
Right. Yeah, it has a lot of. It starts with a lot of new motion, so it made sense connected to the Schubert. But I think it was
knowing the background, you're always going to hear the Schubert going down, the Schubert lines going down on that opening chord sequence. Yeah.
And it might be actually nice to maybe on stage. We played it when we play on stage. We can always start with the Schubert and then just connect it on. It's also great to give Schubert this amazing music, to give it a performance also in the jazz, as a jazz musician. I think that blows my mind every time if I can play something from Liszt or Schubert or Mussorgsky or Chopin. This is just, not to make it like a corny jazz
not
thing.
To play it note by note, but
just to give it, to think how to do it. See it.
We'll use it as a reference work, kind of, which you do in jazz too, right? When you're improvising in jazz, you're constantly citing other known tunes, standards or whatever. So that's something you can do with the classical repertoire as well.
Yeah, you could do that.
Give them a new context.
Always depends of how you do it, how often. I think at the end it's all questions of aesthetics, and
how natural it fits. You don't want to force those things. You don't
exactly.
Tell us, who is For Charlie for?
That's the question. Well, jazz musician audiences will think it's maybe Charlie Parker, but
or Hayden.
Specific, or Hayden, absolutely. Wow, what a bass player! But this Charlie is actually Charlie Chaplin. That's when this melody, again going back to melodies, when this melody started to pour out, so that's what it reminded me of, and that was the attitude that escorted the writing of this tune.
And talking about melody, you brought your melodica out for this one.
Yeah, I slept. I told you that I slept my melodica all the way from Tel Aviv to France. Because I thought it might fit the music.
And it does.
I thank you. I bought the melodica, because many times, you don't take your saxophone to the woods sometime, or to a picnic, or to a
campfire.
fire. You cannot take a an expensive horn, and it doesn't. But then the melodica is so great, and also sometimes with the melodica, I allow myself to play very, very simple stuff that might feel awkward with the saxophone. So with melodica, you are like a kid again. You can do things that you wouldn't do with the saxophone.
Yeah. You don't get into your head about it maybe as much also, because you just maybe play a folk tune, maybe play whatever you used to play at a given certain point in time.
Right, and you can also make mistakes because it's not my instrument. You're more easy with yourself.
It gives you new freedom again. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then we have the closer. I don't even want to try to pronounce it, to be honest. Can you do that for me, please?
Yeah, it's called Helech Ruach.
All right.
It's really tough. 2 words. They both combine the sound.
Yeah, well, at least my language, German, has that.
Right, you could do it
more than other languages would. Yeah.
You don't want to try Helech Ruach?
Helech Ruach.
Perfect, Fritz. Perfect.
Almost.
The song Helech Ruach.
Yeah.
Actually, Helech Ruach is a nicer word in Hebrew for mood, just a mood. And when writing this, I had in mind one of Israel's very famous composer. His name is Sasha Argov, and he was a Russian originally born composer that immigrated to Israel, and he brought a lot of this Russian music and harmony into his songs, and there's one song in particular that is called Hu Lo Yada Et Shma, means he didn't know her name, and this song ends just with a melodic pattern that connects the verse to the next verse. So it's just a line. Suddenly the harmony vanishes and only the line stays, and it's very strong. And when and it was kind of when I had this pa di da di da 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 pa do 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 do. So this line when I got to that really made to me the connection to this source of inspiration.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, we're never alone, we're never alone. I mean, we do the music when you write and we play, but we're always, we're sitting. I mean, there were amazing giants before us. We're sitting on their shoulders, and we're inspired by them, and it's we're fortunate to be able to be part of this ongoing path of art.
Yuval Cohen on his new quartet record, Winter Poems, out now on ECM Records. Thank you for joining me in the podcast. I'm Friedrich Kunzmann, and I'm looking forward to share more new music with you very soon.